Hey, what's up guys? This is Anthony from Anthony's Customs, and for this review, we are looking at the Threezero DLX Iron Man Mark 46, and you guys probably already saw my Iron Man Mark 3 review, and it was actually a really good release from this line. Scaling's a little bit weird, but these are some of the best Iron Man figures that I've come across on my hunt. Across on my hunt to find the best Iron Man figures from the MCU. So we're gonna see, is this guy one of them? I think he might be, but we're gonna have to dive in. So let's go ahead and get him off the stand and take a closer look. All right, before we look at the figure, I do want to show you my package. Just like the other one, it's a very nice front of the box. No photo or no picture. Oh my gosh, no window to the figure, just a photo on the front, but it's kind of stylized with some cool line work going around the panels. That's pretty nice. It's good. Some shiny gold on there. The sides and back are really nothing everywhere, but you do get a flap. So I don't know, do you guys like the flaps? I appreciate a flap so you can see the figure, but also if you're saving the box to keep the figure in, you don't really need a flap. And if you're displaying it in the box, the flap doesn't do any good. So for you in-box collectors, do you care about flaps? And for you out-of-box collectors, I'm sure you don't care at all. So, that's the thing. Alright, let's go ahead and talk about the figure. By the way, these guys are in stock at Big Bad Toy Store. I'll put a link in the description below if you want to get one for yourself. He stands just about 7 1/8 inches tall, give or take. That's going to make him roughly, we'll call it 18 centimeters. Here he is up against a Marvel Legends Darwin. It's fudgeable, but he's definitely a bit big. But here he is up against a Marvel Select Cap. It's fudgeable, but I think he's a touch small. So, I don't know. These seem to be kind of in between scales. So, I don't know how you guys feel about that. I'm not thrilled with it, but I also don't know if I need them to be in scale, since I'll probably just have a few Iron Mans on the shelf by themselves. So, there's that. Okay, which MCU Iron Man suit is your favorite? For me, I have to go with 3, then 7, then 46. Maybe 7 before 3, but I don't know. Alright, so let's talk about this guy. Aesthetically speaking, oh man, it is nice. It's very, very nice. I'll do this real quick just so you guys can compare. There he is up against the Mark III. You can see the difference in the reds. And the golds are actually pretty darn close. They might even be the same. It's hard to say for sure because they're shiny. But the reds are definitely different. And this guy's definitely darker and has a little bit more blue to him. That would mean his red is kind of purplish. But the paintwork on these guys is super clean. The sculpts are super clean. I am very, very pleased with it. This is the same guy that I reviewed from, what was it, King Art or something like that? King Island, King, Bada Bing, I don't know. Whatever I just reviewed the other day. And this is the same suit, so it's kind of a nice comparison, but that was a different scale entirely. So be aware of that. But I'll tell you right now, this guy, better than that one. Look at the details. They did a lot of detail work that they could have easily just ignored. It's very, very nice looking. And does he light up as much of that as that other one? Not as much, but he does have the chest and the eyes. We'll talk about that later, or I could just show you now. He lights up nicely. I'll just show you now. The chest lights up really well. It's super bright, almost too bright. And the eyes light up the way I like them to, although I think they could be just a touch brighter. We have a little switch in there. Is hard to get on camera. There we go. Okay, so his eyes are very frosty, which is a nice thing. You don't want it looking like LEDs shooting out, but this is also frosty, but a lot brighter. So I think they could have done a little bit better with the eyes, but they do still look very nice. You can tell even with the studio lights on, it's a nice addition to the figure. So I do love the lighting. Threezero has done a really good job with their LED work lately. And actually with their figures in general. They were questionable for a while, that company, but now they're kind of winning me over as one of my favorites. So yeah, it looks great. The proportioning is good. The screen accuracy is definitely reasonably good. The paint job is immaculate. The sculpt is immaculate. It's really good for $100 or so. I think it's $100. Check that link. I don't remember what I paid. It was right around there. It's phenomenal. It puts the figure arts to shame, if you ask me. And there's lots of die cast in here too. So yeah, aesthetically speaking, I'm gonna go 9.5 out of 10. It is gorgeous. It's way better looking in terms of the figure recreating the look than the Mark III. The Mark III had this big gap in the torso, which not my favorite thing at all. And his shoulders were a little bit less connected. This guy is just on the money. All right, now as far as accessories go, it's basically the same sort of spread. You get all the hands you would need, including repulsor blast hands that are painted and that have holes for the effect parts. So you have all the hands you need. You do get the 4 effect parts. You can use any of them in the hands. One set is bigger than the other, but you can put them in the feet too. And then you get the forearm guns, which are little missiles on this guy, which look awesome. Very, very nicely done. Love that. And then you get the display stand, which is not the kind of display stand I really care for, honestly. I don't like it too much. It's minimally useful due to some design elements, but it is there, and that's better than not being there, so that's okay. So yeah, accessory-wise, nothing incredible, but definitely enough. I'll go... I'll say 8 out of 10. You could say 9, I guess, but I'm just going to go with 8, because, you know, we could have more blast effects and things like that. Okay, so now let's go ahead and get into the articulation. I'm going to be curious to see if this guy performs better than the 7 or than the 3 or worse. So the head, he actually looks up a little bit better than the Mark III, so that's pretty good. The neck and head are both on ball pegs. He's a little bit less cumbersome, so I guess that makes sense, although I didn't think the head was significantly less. But yeah, his head works nicely with the neck, very pleased with that. And I love that they didn't give him a lollipop. A lot of Iron Man figures' heads stick up really high to get him that extra range, but that's not how he looks, and that's not how a human would look, because if you add armor on this area, it's going to make your neck look short, because your head's not going anywhere. So that's good. His neck should look short on an Iron Man figure. His neck should always look a little bit short. For the shoulders, we do have the same sort of flap design where it has the hinge at both ends of the shoulder pad, so that just moves around wonderfully. His joints are also pretty tight. But yeah, it works pretty well. It's not perfect. I don't think you're going to get a perfect Iron Man shoulder in real life, just because in the movies they're CGI mostly. So you do have that. You do have the butterfly joint, which you know what? I can do it just like on the other figure. You get a big old butterfly joint in there. That's the silver pin right there that lets the arm come this way. Doesn't have the greatest range, but it is there. And then you also have, you see that pin right there. That allows for vertical movement. It's got to go farther than that. Maybe not. Let's try this side. A lot of these joints are super tight, and I think that's actually it for the vertical. So don't go that far up. That's interesting. I thought they'd go farther. But you do have it, and then you do still have, you can see these red pins. You still have this panel that moves just like on the other guy to get out of the way of the shoulders. A little tricky to get in there and move them. Come on. There we go. But that moves out of the way. It's not the best looking thing, but for certain poses you might need to do it, and that gives you extra clearance right here in the armpit area. So that's pretty cool. Lots of extra engineering going on there. So the only downside to these shoulders, because as you can see, they work really, really nicely. They're super functional. Everything's pretty darn good about them, except the way they designed their actual joint, the standard shoulder joint, the arms don't go down as far as I would like. I'd like to be able to pop them up and out and bring them down as you would be able to normally. And you can't quite do that. It's nice and seamless in here, but you can't do it. We'll actually leave that off. So I'll show you once I put them back together. I wish his arms could go down a little bit farther, closer to his sides. But otherwise, it's a super functional shoulder and really well engineered with extra joints and hinges that you don't normally see. Elbows are very nicely done. Not the best looking thing in the world, but functional. Wrists are just on ball pegs. Now, I want to talk about this before I put him back together. Just like on the other guy, we've got this big steel rod. That's his waist twist, and that's also his ab crunch right there. You can move that much for his ab crunch, and that's also... Does he not lean there? Oh, he leans in a different spot. Oops, forgot about that. He leans down here. So he's different. His leaning is down lower, which actually works nicer. So that's good. Let's put them back together. I almost broke it because I forgot what I was doing. Whoops. All right, so when you have him put together, you can see his arms do go down enough, but I want a little bit more. I want a little bit more. It's not a big deal, of course. Okay, so as far as going out to the side, when you raise his arms, by the way, guys, make sure the top of this shoulder pad doesn't tuck under the gold. You want to pop that out. It can go under there, and then it'll bind. You don't want that. Pull it out a little bit and then raise it, okay? Don't want you to mess up your figures. Okay, so the ab crunch, if you use the lower ab crunch, which I didn't show you yet, plus that upper and the extra lower one, it's actually really nice. This is one of the most nice Iron Man ab crunches ever. It takes 3 joints to do it, but he leans forward very nicely. Leaning back, yeah, basically none still. So leaning back, he's not going to be in the best flight poses, but the forward crunch is really good. And then the side-to-side crunch, Not bad at all. I'll take it. And then the rotation is kind of garbage, because it mostly happens up at the top where I showed you. I mean, not mostly, exclusively, and it's not the best range. So it's not a perfect figure, but if you really like ab crunching, he's got that in spades. Is that the saying? I think it is. Now for the hips, they're basically the same as the other guy. You have very little range anywhere. So you can pop forward his thigh panel, which may pop off. Yep, it tends to pop off because we just have these little Lego hands holding it on right there. You can pop it right back on, no big deal. Mine hasn't broken and has popped off a ton. So that brings the whole thigh panel forward. Now his works the same. It's not as nice looking as the Mark III, but that does give you all kinds of extra clearance. Oh wait, it doesn't work. So what you have to do then is also slip the hip down, or slip the thigh down. Then you can raise his leg up quite far and get him into some deeper poses. Now, of course, at the wrong angle, it's still gonna look like butts. So get it up there, squash it back in as much as you can, and hide that in your photography or your display cabinet as best you can. I'll take it. I think it's a little bit over-engineered and still not incredibly useful, but I like what they're going for. And it is functional, so I can't fault them too much. But it's still a fairly limited situation for his hips, and you're gonna have to fight with it to look good. But what they did, they executed well, and I like their mindset. You do get a thigh swivel in there, of course. Double jointed knee, basically the same as a figure art. It's kind of flat and weird looking, but it is super functional, so that's good. And then for the ankles, we have a panel back here and a panel up here, and then the ankle is on some ball pegs. It's a double ball peg. Be careful, but he does get decent range going forward. Let's get this out of the way. Not the most. Let's see, is that, yeah, that's as far as it's gonna go. Not the most. Going back, it's also not the most. You get a little bit of ankle rocker, but it also wants to fight you there, so his ankles don't seem to want to work as well. The problem is these plates right here and these ones on the back, these don't move other than forward and back. So when you try to use the ankle rocker, because they sit flush, it doesn't work. So that kind of sucks. The toe hinge, though, is decent enough, but not very good. So his ankles and feet kind of suck. And his hips are questionable, but that's always the case with Iron Man figures, so I can't fault him too much for it. Few issues. You know, the torso could work a little better in certain directions. The hips could be better, and the ankles could be better. I'll give his articulation an 8, though. There's a lot going on here that is really good. The arms and shoulders and chest work really well, and some of the ab crunch works, and yeah, I think it's still good, especially for $100. Like, this is a really good figure for $100. Some things could work better, but I don't think for that money anybody's going to really be complaining. So, time for the final verdict on this guy. I like him more than the Mark III. In terms of, he looks a lot cleaner. He doesn't have any huge gapping or anything like the 3 had. The 3 does function a little better in a few places. I think that comes down to character design more than anything. But, oh, I forgot to show you guys the back flaps. I told you on the 3 how much I don't use these back flaps. Now you can believe me. He does have back flaps, alright? They open up. There you go. He does have them. There you go. Alright, so yeah, it's a really, really good figure. I'm going to have to go 9 out of 10. Overall, 9 out of 10. For $100, this blows anything else Iron Man related out of the water for the price point. And even higher, it's better than a lot of them. So I'm curious what you guys think. I like this line a whole bunch. The scale bothers me, but I'm not probably going to mix it with other figures anyway, so I can live with it. But I'm curious what you guys think about that. So let me know. But that's it for me. So thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please do give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, give it a thumbs down. And if you haven't subscribed, you should. I have new videos basically every single day, and I do have thousands already on the channel. So make sure you come back for all of that. And in the meantime, keep collecting.